Hello everybody, welcome to the English 2 practice written test. Next week you will attend class and do the written test. In preparation for the test, we have given you a practice test. We will look over all the different types of questions that you will see on the written test and give you a few examples. Let's look through the test right now, or the practice test, and we'll see the 5 different types of questions that you will see on the written test next week. In part 1, you're given a multiple choice question. You'll be given several multiple choice questions. You're going to read the questions carefully and circle the best answer. Now, sometimes you'll have a question and sometimes you'll have a statement. But in each case, you will have either an answer to choose or a word or a phrase to fill in a blank. Okay. These questions will be worth 1 point. In part 2, you're going to be given a sentence, or maybe many sentences. In each sentence, there is a mistake. Okay? You're going to correct the mistake. Okay? You're either going to change one word or delete one word, or you're going to add one word. Okay? So read the sentence, read it carefully, and then you're going to change, delete, or add one word. Add, delete, or change one word. Okay. These questions are worth 1 point. In part 3, you're given a sentence, but the words are in the wrong order. Okay. So again, all of these sentences, you're given all the correct words. Okay. You just have to rearrange the words so they form a sentence with the correct structure. Okay. On your written test, these will be worth 1 point. In part 4, you'll be given an answer. You'll be given an answer, and you are going to answer. You're going to ask a question. Okay. So again, one person will ask, one person will answer. The answer is given. You must create a question. You will write the question here. Okay. So in each of these, the answer is given. You will write a question. All of these sentences here are answers or responses. You will write a question. And finally, number 5, you're given the question. You will write your own answers. Okay? Often these questions deal with you. So you're going to give your own answer for each question. Now, the part 5 and part 4, each of these questions are worth 2 points. Okay? So they're a little more valuable than the other questions. Okay. today's test, you have only 15 questions, okay? But next week on the written test, you will have 32 questions, okay? So right now, you only have about 1/2 of the questions. Okay. Let's begin the written test. Part 1, question 1. All right, part 1, as it says, read the question carefully and circle the best answer. Number 1, you don't work here. Okay. And a space. Okay. You have to choose the best answer among these. Okay. So obviously, with the statement and the question mark here, we're obviously adding on a tag. Okay. So this is something we studied in English 2, tag questions. Okay. Now we know how the structure works here. You have an auxiliary verb and an action verb. There's no real modal, just an auxiliary verb. Okay. So, and we know what the subject is. So the subject in the statement and in the tag are the same. So the answer for number 1 must be either C or D. Okay, so you have the U here. So again, U in the stem and U in the tag. Okay, since A and B do not have the correct subject, okay, then you must remove them as choices. Okay. Now, we are not going to put the word work in the tag. We do have the auxiliary verb do, or in this case, don't. Okay. So what goes here? Well, if this is negative, then here the auxiliary verb has to be positive. Okay. So the answer is C. Okay. You don't work here, do you? Okay. So again, subject matches, and if this is negative, this is positive. Okay. All right. Now, if you didn't know that, you can go through your textbook. You can pause the lecture and go to your textbook and check out the unit on tags. Okay, and that should be easy enough to find. Okay. All right, let's go down to number 2. The eggs tasted bad, blank, he did not finish them. Okay. Now, for your choices in this question, you have a number of conjunctions. Okay. But, so, because, or. Okay. Now, when you're using conjunctions, it's usually to join 2 sentences. So these are actually 2 sentences. You have a subject, a verb, and an adjective. Okay. And here you have a subject, a negative verb, and an object. Okay, so we have 2 distinct sentences. Okay, so how are we joining them? Do they contrast, as we use for but? Is there a cause and effect with so and because? Or are you given 2 different choices, 2 different distinct choices? Okay. Okay. So the eggs tasted bad, okay, but he did not finish them. No, I don't think so. They don't seem to contrast. I think there's a cause and effect. Okay. So I think here is the cause, and this is the effect. Okay. So you're not given two equal choices. So D and A are not the answer. So there is a cause and effect, so it has to be either so or because. Okay. The answer, B. Okay. The eggs tasted bad, so he did not finish them. Okay. Now, if we'd written it the other way around, he did not finish the eggs because they tasted bad. All right, so that's fine. Okay, so because you have you'd have the effect and then you'd have the cause clause. In fact, this sentence would be fine if the blank was over here. You could have chosen C. Okay, because the eggs tasted bad, comma, he did not finish them. Okay, that's a good sentence. Okay, but the space isn't over here behind the eggs. It is in the middle of the sentence. Okay, so the space is not the beginning of the sentence. It's in the middle. So we use so. Okay. The answer to number 2 is B. The eggs tasted bad, so he did not finish them. Okay, cause, effect. Let's move down to part 2. In part 2, we have 4 sentences here, 4 different sentences, and each of them has an error. Okay, what we're going to do, and maybe we saw that as well. Okay, so in each of these sentences, the mistake, we're going to make the changes. Number 3, oceans are more bigger than lakes. Okay, good. Right, so an ocean is the largest body of water in the world. Okay, so large they make up most of the Earth. There's only 4 of them that I know of. Okay, so we're comparing 2 things. So we can see with this subject or this preceding word that we're comparing 2 things: oceans, lakes. And we can see the word than. Okay, so we're looking at comparatives. Now, this is a common problem. It's common among native speakers, too. So often, to make the comparative, we often say more adjective than, okay? Or we say adjective with an ER ending, okay? Now, sometimes native speakers, they don't know what adjective they're going to say exactly when they say this word, and then they realized, oh, the adjective the suffix is what I need to change this adjective into a comparative. Okay, so there's an error somewhere in here. I think the correct answer is oceans are bigger than lakes. Okay, oceans are wider than lakes. Oceans are deeper. Okay, but if the adjective was beautiful, then we'd use the word more. Oceans are more beautiful than lakes. Not true. Okay, but if that was how we want to say it, we'd say it like that. Right, so oceans are bigger. We're using the adjective big. Big has 1 syllable, so we just add on an ER. Okay, now because the last consonant is preceded by a vowel, okay, it's going to change the pronunciation of the I if we just slap on an ER. So we need another consonant to give it that same pronunciation. Big, bigger, okay, not biger. Okay. So everything here is correct. So this word is correct. This one is not. Okay. So in fact, when you are doing your test, as it says here, it says rewrite the sentence. Okay, it doesn't say that in English, but what you could do is maybe not do that. Okay, just simply, in this case, you've decided there's a delete, so we're just going to cross it out. Good. Oceans are bigger than lakes. Okay, make sure it's clear which one word you want to change. Okay. That's the best answer. Now, some of you may want to change this. Oceans are more, change this and write beautiful. Okay, that would be grammatically correct. So probably that's fine. But this, this is probably the best answer. This is probably what your professor is thinking and would be easier for you to do. Good. Number 4. I working at a convenience store? All right. Now on this one, you may have more than one choice. Okay. In fact, let's skip it, and we'll come down to number 5. Okay. Number 5. Have you went scuba diving? Okay. All right. So if you've studied the present perfect tense, you're probably familiar with this kind of question. Have you, okay, done something? And done is the past participle. Went is not, okay? So what you need to do in this case, add, delete, change. Right, you have to change this one because everything here is correct. You've even got the correct verb. You just don't have the correct verb form. So in 3, which was just delete, okay? In number 5, you have to delete and add at the same time, okay? So you can cross it out and then write the correct word here, okay? Now some of you might be tempted to write, have you ever, so you might add the word, maybe you thought the word was add, have you ever went scuba diving? Ever is not an important word in this sentence. It's very common for native speakers to say it, but the grammar really tells us that we're talking about ever. Okay, so it's maybe a bit redundant to say, have you ever gone scuba diving? You don't need to say it. It doesn't add anything, but again, many native speakers do add that. But the correct answer here, yeah, you want to change this word. Have you gone scuba diving? Right, so the activity, the verb is scuba dive, a particular type of diving, okay? And the verb is go. Okay, so you go scuba diving. Okay, you have to go somewhere, go to the ocean and scuba dive. Good. Number 6. She has been studying piano since 4 years. Okay. Now, so in this one, probably most of you will can figure out what the what the mistake is. Well, notice the verb right here, study, and the tense has been studying. Okay, so this is something that is continuing now and is something that has been going on for a long time. So whereas she is maybe playing piano right now, maybe she has been playing the piano since 12 o'clock, or maybe she has been playing the piano for 30 minutes, okay? So we know that something that's going on right now and started sometime in the past. The verb study can imply a longer time. So you might study a subject, you might take a course. These are all long-term activities. So she's been studying piano for 4 years. Okay. Note the spelling, not the same as the number 4. Okay, it's the preposition for, and for we use for a period of time. Okay, so you might start here. Maybe this is now. This is 4 years ago, but this whole time is a period of time. Okay, a long time. Since we use for a point in time. Okay, so she's been studying piano since January 1st. Okay, or she's been studying piano since last year. So last year, even though it's a long time, it's a point in time. So 1 year ago. Okay. Some of you maybe thought, oh, it's not change. Maybe I need to add a word. Maybe you thought she's been studying piano since 4 years ago. I don't know that your professor will accept that. Some native speakers talk like that, but I think this is easily the best answer. She has been studying piano for 4 years. Okay. So again, this is something that we studied in Unit 12. Okay, so you can study Unit 12 and find out about that. All right. All right, number 4. I'm working at a convenience store. Okay, so there's 2 possibilities. One thing you could do is you could just add. You just add a word. And maybe that word is am. Okay. By putting the be verb, make sure it relates to the, or agrees with the subject, the be verb and then the ing form. Okay. So it's something that this person is doing these days. Okay. Or maybe something they're doing right now. If you call somebody, what are you doing? Oh, I'm working at a convenience store. Oh, okay. So you could just add that word. Another possibility is that you could simply just change this. Instead of working, put work. Okay. So there could be more than one, excuse my spelling. You could just simply change the form of this word to the correct form. So instead of working, work. I work at a convenience store. Okay. Now we didn't cover that in this text in our study this semester, but if your test allows you to just make one correction or correct one word, then you can do it. Okay. Just make sure that it's correct. Okay. So oceans are bigger than lakes. I work at a convenience store, or I am working at a convenience store. Have you gone scuba diving? She's been studying piano for 4 years. Okay. All right, so those are the answers there. Good. All right, let's go down to part 3. Okay. Now part 3, pretty easy to figure out. You are going to put these words in the correct order. Okay. In fact, this may sound like an activity that we did in our textbook. Particularly, we're talking about describing things. So what are the words? Driving, red, car, and sports, expensive, is German, he. I'm kind of focused on this word. Here. So the first thing I'm focusing on here is an. Okay? And of course, an article, so it'll be followed by an object. So that's a gerund, another adjective. So it might be car, sports, German? Yeah, anyway, or I don't think it's he. So none of these objects begin with a vowel. Okay, so it must be what we have is we have an object, maybe like a car or a German, and or sports, and in between we have a number of adjectives. So it's probably an something something car, or an something something German. Okay? Car is not an adjective, so I'm thinking that. Also, I see the word is and a verb in the ing. Okay, so is driving. Okay, so I'm thinking that might be the verb. So he is. So we have a subject. He is driving a car. All right. So let me try that one. See if I can try that one. He is driving a car. Okay. Now that leaves everything except red, an, sports, expensive, German. Okay. So I think those are all adjectives. So he is driving a red car. A red sports car. A red sports expensive car? No. A red expensive sports car? No. Expensive. Okay. Now, you know the order of adjectives because we studied that in the book. Now, it can't be a red sports car. It can't be a German. Red. So an. So I think these are correct. So I think he is driving an expensive red sports car. He is driving an expensive red sports car. So I'm missing one word. That word is German. So where does German go? We have expensive, red, sports. Okay, so it doesn't come between here. So it's got to either go here, or here, or here. Okay? Now sports car, I thought was one word. Okay, so it's a very definite type of car. So a sports car looks different than other types of cars. Okay, German cars don't look like anything. There's a wide variety. So the answer must be either here or here. Okay, and the answer will go right here. An expensive red German sports car. Now, if you get these all mixed up, people will still understand you. Okay, they'll still understand what you're trying to say, but that's how I would say it. Okay, so we're looking at different levels of importance in the description of the car. Okay. All right, that concludes the lecture. I am lecture number 1. Let's continue the practice test in lecture number 2. Okay? We'll continue with part 3 in lecture number 2.